Welcome to another episode of Planet ARK. Last time, we explored the scorched surface of the volcanic islands near the center of the Ark. Where on this level, it is a harsh reality where predators fight each other for dominance and survival without any herbivore in sight. One might forget that there is another side to all of this. But that side does not reveal itself easily. Deep underground, a new ecosystem is hidden from plain sight, only accessible through a cave entrance on the island. Though there might be other places offering an opening, this wide gaping cave entrance was the most prominent. An extending stone path surrounded by lava stops abruptly, meaning our scientists and camera crew would have to use drones or rock climbing gear to get down. What is interesting to note is that on the surface level of the cave entrance, no life can be detected, and dinosaurs getting close to the entrance often turn away from it. The drop down in the cave is massive. The temperature rises even more, which is unbelievable in and of itself, as lava flows freely on the surface level. It is hard to imagine that anything can live down here. But once the bottom gets near, one can clearly see that we are not alone. In fact, a bunch of creatures are sprawled up here, but they are not your typical dinosaur species. The first creature we run into is the Titan boa. This giant snake can be found in different places, including swamps, but also caves like this or regular ones. The Titan boa is cold-blooded, meaning it needs its environment to warm up or cool down. That's why in regular caves where it's cooler, the snakes often can be found near the entrance or an opening offering some sunlight in case they want to warm up. Since the temperature in this cave is so high, it would explain why the Titan boa are bunched up in a corner where the surface of the rocks provide a slight bit of cooling as lava illuminates further in. The Titan boa is also deaf and depends on vibrations on the ground to know if a predator or prey approaches. Due to its size, it does not fear many creatures, as it has both the power to poison its enemy or crush its bones and suffocating it by wrapping around its victim. Because of the Titan boa's slow metabolism, it only needs to feed every 3 to 4 weeks. The fact that the Titan boa only needs to eat now and then is one of the reasons why it can survive in such a climate, but that counts for all the creatures here. The nearby dung beetle speaks for itself, as it benefits from the other animals here and in return is left alone for this. Dung beetles can be found in other caves too, mostly as the creatures that can be found here do not have the ability to stomp on them if they get too close. If we take a look further, we can see some creatures that will horrify some arachnophobes back on Earth. The Araneomorphus is a giant spider species that can be found in caves and swamps around Planet ARK. Their high number that can be found throughout this cave gives way to that they might be on top of the food chain within this particular environment. It shares similar aspects of different spider species back on Earth. Though it can shoot web to entangle its prey, it does not create one to live in, instead moving around similar to a huntsman spider. They can also spit venom from afar and have a very aggressive nature. Because of this aggressive nature and their own size, they will attack creatures that are a lot bigger than they are. They also don't have predators to worry about themselves. They have poisonous spikes and hairs on its legs and back to protect it. It can shoot its hairs in the air similar to that of a tarantula that will irritate and poison anyone coming too close if the hairs get into one's eyes, mouth, nose, or ears. If one takes a step away, it becomes apparent how many of these creepy crawlers are actually in here. Most of them are standing completely still. This is also common with these type of animals back on Earth. They will not consume energy unless they really have to. The Pulmonoscorpius is a giant scorpion that is actually not rare at all on Planet ARK. This creature can be found all throughout, including swamps, caves, mountains, and even near the shore sometimes. They will often act quite aggressive and dominant as their bright colors don't function well as camouflage. They will use their giant pincers to hold their enemy and then inject them with venom. They are very similar to regular scorpions back on Earth, except for their huge size. As we get closer to the light source, it becomes apparent that the lava sprawling underneath is warming up everything around this area. As the cave opens up at its core, bright yellow hues can be seen from the lava below as stalactites droop from the ceiling as winding stone paths crawl and circle everywhere. The hot temperature and enclosed environment results in some rare minerals to be found here as well. Most humans would burn too quickly before they can reach them without proper protective gear. More insect-like creatures and arachnids can be found here. One of these creatures that can be found here is the Arthropleura, a giant centipede that is quite rare on Planet ARK. Much like the other animals that can be found here, the Arthropleura can be found in caves and swamps alike. It uses venom to stun its prey and seems to live peacefully amongst the other creatures like giant spiders and snakes. The length of the centipede makes it to where it's difficult to swallow for the Titan boa, and therefore it is not seen as a potential meal. Further along, it once more becomes apparent how dominantly the presence of the giant spiders is. They seem to have thrived here, probably due to the fact that they will prey on other creatures whereas they themselves are safe. It is one of the perks of being on top of the food chain, but if not controlled, they can become a pest and disrupt this ecosystem. As one followed the paths, eventually a fascinating discovery was made. At one of the cave walls, architecture was found, very similar to ancient civilizations back on Earth. Some would describe it like the Mayans or Aztecs. In front of this doorway, 2 torches were placed, further insinuating that not only creatures have been here before. This raised more questions than it answered. Who were the ones that made this? Where have they gone? What purpose do these structures serve? Some art could be seen as well. A skull that was not too far off from a human one. Were they portraying an ancient deity? Or were they to visualize the humble servants of the greater gods? None of the scientists knew the answer. If one does go through the portal, more creatures can be found, but no new species. What is new though is a particular glowing artifact near the wall. Its glow is bright red and a zooming sound can be heard up close. The material that it's made of does not coincide with anything thus far found on Planet ARK. This might have been left here by the same beings who built this architecture. At the edge, a slope moves upward, revealing a way to a different part of the cave system. As one goes through, one can see how intricate and massive these tunnel systems are. But no new creature species are spotted, with instead a repeat of the same type of spider, snake, scorpion, and centipede. A new room opens up at the end of the tunnel, much hinting to the fact that these bridges are also carved out by those who came before us. More torches can be seen, some right next to valuable minerals, insinuating that the mysterious beings that built these torches were not out to get these minerals. There was another artifact here. This time, it was blue and sphere-shaped, floating in the air surrounded by light. Having 2 of these so close together made the scientists guess that more would be found throughout ARK with different shapes and sizes. What their function was would remain a mystery. Further up ahead, it seemed like a dead end. Surrounding creatures were staring in silence like always, almost making the impression that they were guarding something. No creature got too close to the actual architecture though, this time not providing a way through, but instead another painting of the skull-shaped face. It is as far as here that our crew got. Some believed that these artifacts, paintings, and architecture had to do with the giant floating obelisks that were found throughout. Some believed that these were built out of a religious matter, while others disputed this theory. Since we now have explored the out and inside of the Scorched Islands, it is time to finally move on. In the next episode, we will once again drastically change environments as we get closer to the actual center. We will head into the tundras and mountains to the north. It is here where we can finally experience lush environments once more, complete with herbivores. And some of the creatures that can be found here are more majestic than ever. Some are very rare and once again have adapted to this cold environment, giving us a completely different look from anything we've experienced so far. If you like these cinematic series on the channel and would like to support me, please consider donating on my Patreon, which can be found in the description down below. I will see you all in the next episode of Planet ARK.